2.5 SpiceFM Kisumu is listening. We are streaming live. standardmedia.co.ke. I need to know your favorite love songs. Please, from the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, anywhere up until about 2010. I'm going to accept it, right? Please, because from 1 p.m., I'm going to play your favorite love songs, and they can be sad love songs as well. SpiceFM KE, use the hashtag #00direct. I am Olivia Otieno. That is what I'm talking about. Female host, music exclusively by female artists. And on these chairs, only female guests. And I have 4 amazing women with me today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cynthia Njoroge. I'm from Kisumu. I'm a survivor.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Njoroge, counseling psychologist at Center for Rights, Education and Awareness.
My name is Atemio Yungu. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm glad to be here.
Hello, I am Dr. Joyce Wangari. I'm a consultant psychologist and research mentor with Guira Foundation.
Dr. What is mental health? Can you define it for us, please?
Right. Mental health is a state of well-being in which a person can realize their abilities, cope with daily stressors, contribute positively to the society. So it is a state of wellness, the absence of disease. And many people think mental health is about mental institutions.
Yes.
Which actually it is not.
Okay.
It's a more holistic and umbrella term that has to do with how you feel, think, and act.
Why aren't we taught or instructed or guided to care more about our mental health? We're told, eat well, exercise, study. But when it comes to mental health, there's hardly any focus on it.
Yeah, I'll say there are many factors in our curriculum. We've not had a focus on mental health, sadly. We've downplayed and minimized it. It's only recently, I think, with the COVID-19 pandemic, we got the blessing of a lot more people speaking about mental health as something that we all need to take care of.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Atemi, as an artist, and you've been in the industry for how many years now?
Many.
Many. You're a legend.
Yeah, well, legendish.
Tell me about mental health in the industry with regards to performing artists.
Well, I will say that in the entertainment industry, especially in music, we're pretty aware of mental health issues.
Yes.
I think one of the things that have happened in the past 2 years with the pandemic is a lot of creatives have been pretty vocal online about mental health issues.
Yes.
We talk about it. We're saying, hey, we are feeling depressed. We're feeling like this. I don't know if it's maybe because to tap into that creative side, we're always tapping into our emotions.
Yes.
And we're a lot clearer on where we are, because when you think about mental health and the regular African, I'll say,
yes,
it's a little stigmatized.
Yes.
But you see, in our profession is already a weird thing.
Okay.
You know,
on average, yes.
it's already, yeah. So what is the worst thing people can do if we're like, I think that I suffer from depression.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
I think that I have an anxiety disorder.
Yes.
And because it's an anxious life.
Exactly.
You know, it's not like being freelance. It's
You're always
basically-
being watched. You're always being assessed. You're always being judged.
Yes. You're always waiting for people to call you and give you work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nerea, tell me about the work you do at Crew.
At Center for Rights, Education and Awareness, we strive to support women and girls who've gone through gender-based violence.
Yes.
And we've realized that with the COVID, since the onset of COVID, GBV has actually been on the rise, and we are trying to support our survivors with some counseling services. We've also been trying to link them up with the providers that can also be able to just take care of them.
Did you walk into Crew or did you call them, Cynthia? How did you become involved with Nerea and the organization?
Actually, I got to know Crew through my friend,
Yes.
whom directed me to Nairobi Women. And from Nairobi Women, I got a letter that took me to Crew.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I want to find out from you, Nerea. I just want the email address, the telephone number, and the physical address of the organization, please.
Okay. We are located in Kibera. We have 2 offices.
Yes.
One of our offices is in Kibera.
And the other?
The other office is in Adams.
And the telephone number?
We have a toll-free line.
Yes.
0800
Yes.
720 186.
I'm Olivia Otieno. Alexander Burke, Alleluia, is next. But first, with me are Cynthia Acheng, Nerea Odera, Atemi Oyungu, and Dr. Joyce Wangari. We're discussing mental health and gender-based violence. Dr. Ari, are there specific forms of mental illness that are more prone to gender-based violence than others?
Yes, of course. So out of the 6 forms of mental illness,
Yes.
the 6 main groups, substance use disorders top on the list.
So
Because people
substance
who
use
would-
disorders, talking about alcoholism, drugs.
That's
okay?
right. So people who
Addicts.
who will abuse alcohol are
Yes.
more likely to be violent.
Okay.
And then we have trauma disorders where you know trauma begets trauma and
Yes.
violence begets violence.
And I want to ask you about that because whenever I tell people I don't hit my child, they look at me in shock. When I tell people my parents did not hit me, they look at me in shock. So you're busy saying, oh, spare the rod, spoil the child, and introducing violence into your child's life. Where do you think that violence goes?
That's right. So from childhood, especially with boys, I mean, in our culture,
Yes.
it's okay for a boy to be beaten and to beat others. And so we know now that boys and girls, children have normalized violence.
In the home, it's happening. In
Exactly.
schools, are teachers still allowed to beat children in schools? In public schools? I don't know. Does anybody know? Is it okay for a teacher to beat a child as a punishment?
No, it's now outlawed, but
Yes.
it's still going on,
Okay.
unfortunately. So actually 66% of female children,
Yes.
girl children, and 73% of male children, the boys,
Yes.
have experienced physical violence.
Nerea, is that something that you experience in the Center for Rights Education and Awareness when people come to you with cases of violence, especially gender-based violence? Do you get that, oh no, but he came from a violent home or she came from a violent home?
Yeah, it's actually something that is very common.
Yes.
Because you realize especially when we have to call parents,
Yes.
male parents, to take care of responsibilities for their children, and they tell you, I mean, my mom took care of me. So actually, responsibility of taking care of the children is supposed to be the woman, not actually the man.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about violence in the home? Do you find that people who come to the center have experienced violence in the home with regards to their childhood, or is it only something they're experiencing more of as adults?
No, majority of them experienced violence when they were growing up. So when they reach adulthood, it's something that has been normalized. Normalized in the sense that, this is a lady who grew up, seeing the mother beating, the father beating the mother. Then this is the life that they know, that, women are supposed to be beaten up.
Is this a learned behavior, Dr. Ari? Is violence learned?
It's definitely in the socialization.
Yes.
And aside from trauma and substance use disorders, we also have the mood disorders such as depression, bipolar,
Yes.
and some of the symptoms such as anger and irritability really pop up.
Yes.
And so you find that if a child is observing that when daddy or mommy is really stressed, then they actually act violently, this is what they know to be right.
Okay.
So it's definitely, they're going to model after this behavior and they'll copy that.
Cynthia, you have experience with gender-based violence. Are you comfortable telling us your story?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, me, what I experienced, it was a bit horrible. To me, it was something that I cannot wish for anyone.
Okay.
Because being beaten as a woman and as a mother at the same time, and being beaten by someone you call your spouse,
Yes.
is very, very horrible. Because I experienced violence for almost 6 years, for like 6 years and plus. And the violence, I got into depression because of the violence. It makes me even try to commit suicide because of the violence. I tried to poison myself. I tried to stab myself. I tried to overdose myself because of the pain that I was feeling inside, because I could not bear the pain that I was going through. And I did not really know that whatever was happening around me was affecting my kids without me knowing. So at the same, I was concentrating on what was happening to me. I forgot that my children were suffering as well.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 boys.
And when were they born with regards to the 6 years?
Okay,
that you
my firstborn was born in June 16th, 2011.
How long had you been married?
I've been married. I was married.
But at that time, when you had your firstborn?
When I had my firstborn at 2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
And then when you had your secondborn?
I had my secondborn in 2013.
So after how many years of marriage?
From that 2013.
Okay.
Yes. From that 2013, that things just turn out to be so messy with me.
Okay.
So the guy got into alcohol, started drinking, smoking bang, and also smoking a cigarette.
Yes.
And started eating that, I don't know what called, this thing.
Does anybody know what she's referring to?
Mira, yeah.
Cast.
So one person was taking all these things,
Yes.
and whenever he take these things, he become wild. And when he become wild, it's all on me.
Was he ever violent before you got married?
Okay. No, he wasn't. He
wasn't never hit you before you got
me
married?
even once, not even once. So when he started drinking, when he started smoking bang and all that when the violence started.
What do you think caused him to start drinking if he wasn't before?
Okay, before he did not have a job. That's number one.
Okay.
He did not have a good income.
Okay.
Whatever he was getting, it was hand to mouth. So he did not have extra money to spend.
Just wait, Daktari, I thought the opposite was true. That when you have a good job, you're okay. Then you lose your job, you may fall into depression and then use substances as a coping mechanism. But now it seems you shouldn't have extra money because extra money leads to mayhem.
Yeah, any transition that's out of the norm that causes an upheaval, can potentially upset mental health. And we know that there are already some pre-existing conditions. Some people also have personality disorders.
Yes.
Some people are already dealing with those lifestyle conditions from their childhood, like Nerea has so wonderfully spoken about. So yes, any transition, any upheaval.
Please continue, Cynthia.
So when he started getting extra money, that he can have extra money in his pocket, started to smoke, drink and all that. So whenever he comes home, he say that he doesn't want me anymore. I'm no longer the right woman that he wanted in his life. He doesn't want a Luo lady. He wants his tribe. Actually, he's a Kikuyu man.
Okay.
He said to me that he doesn't want a Luo lady.
Where did you meet?
We met in Nairobi.
Okay.
I was in college back then.
Okay.
So when we met, he was just an ordinary person. He did not have a job. He was just hawking in Nairobi, hustling here and there. So me, I was in college. Then after some time, we got married. Actually, we got married.
Did you finish your college?
Yes, I did. I did. I had my diploma and all. And
were you working at the time of your marriage?
After I got married, yes, I was working. I was working as a secretary in one hospital in Donholm, St. Teresa Hospital. I was working there. So after that, he told me that he doesn't want me to work anymore, that he doesn't feel comfortable me working. So me, I was obedient wife and I just stopped working. And then I gave birth to my firstborn. After giving birth to my firstborn, he said that he want another baby. Immediately after I gave birth to the baby, I told him, no, I'm not ready yet. Just give me some time. So, and that he started quarreling with me that I don't want to have a baby and he need a baby, he want me to give birth to a girl. And unfortunately, when I got pregnant, I get birth to a boy.
Okay.
That lead to that violence because he told me that in Kikuyu land, where a firstborn is a boy, is named after the father-in-law.
Yes.
And when the second is a girl, her name will be mother-in-law's.
Yes.
So when I get back to my secondborn, he was a boy.
Okay.
And they rejected the baby. They rejected the baby when I was still in the hospital.
Really?
At Jama Hospital, Buruburu.
When you say they, are you talking about your husband or the whole family?
The whole family rejected the baby. Okay, my mother-in-law said that she wanted me to give birth to a girl so that the girl can be named after her.
Okay.
And she said that if I have given birth to a boy, then they don't need that baby. So I stayed at Jama Hospital for 2 to 3 weeks. No one was there to come and see me. No one was there to come even pay my bills.
Okay.
So the bill got so high and I had to call some of my friends and I sold my stuff so that I was able to get out of the hospital. So from hospital to home, my baby never even got a cloth because he was a boy. He was rejected by his father, by their families. And that was 2013 that I told you about. That's when all this violence started because I couldn't give birth to a girl. The girl that they wanted as a family. So my son started to suffer the rejection from him being born.
Okay.
They rejected the baby. So from there, he started telling me that he wants another wife who can give birth to a girl so that he can name after his mother.
Yes.
So from there, he started beating me, calling me names, abusing me. In fact, I gave birth through CS.
Yes.
And I wasn't able to do 1, 2, 3 things. So I was just indoor for almost 6 months, so that I was able to recover and do my stuff. So me being at home, he started saying that I'm a useless woman. I cannot work. I cannot earn money. And remember, he was the same person who told me to stop working because he doesn't want me to work. So I asked him, what do you want me to do then? I'm here taking care of your babies, and at the same time you told me not to work. No. I do not want a woman who's not my tribe, who doesn't work, who doesn't have money. Because for money, I can do anything. He told me that for money, there's nothing he won't do for money. He will do anything and everything for him to get money. I said, okay, what else can you do for you to get money? Mm-hmm. He said he can do so many things. Okay, into quote, I took it in a different way, actually. So after that, the life could continue. We got into 2014. Then my mother-in-law came and told me that he doesn't want me there, that she has found a wife for his son, and his son is not married. So I asked, Mom, why do you say that? She told me that she doesn't want me. In plain language, she said
Were
that.
you married legally?
Exactly.
We're going to talk more about this in a minute. Tieno, and October is globally recognized as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Go get checked. Early detection saves lives. Please also conduct regular self-exams. Go to a doctor. Age is a huge risk factor. I, in my 40s, have to get annual checks. It is a must. However, right now, we are discussing mental health because in addition to breast cancer, October also recognizes mental health awareness. And we're discussing mental health specifically as it pertains to gender-based violence. I'm with Cynthia Achieng, Nerea Odera, Atemi Oyungu, and Dr. Joyce Wangari. And Atemi, we were listening to Cynthia narrate her story of domestic abuse and violence. And there are statistics that say in 2019, 48% of the women who were killed in this country were killed by an intimate partner or husband. 48% of the women that died, right, in 2019 who were killed by an intimate partner or their husband. So I'm going to start with you. What do you have to say, Atemi?
Well, I think that there's definitely a rise of gender-based violence, especially in Kenya. And I remember somebody was telling me something during not that we're not in the COVID period now, but when we were quarantined,
yes,
and there was curfew, like the really first curfew, because when you think about it, a lot of women and children were sheltering in place with their abusers. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I can't imagine. I would love to, but I can't imagine what the statistics probably are for 2020 because it's a stressful situation. You're there in the house with him.
There's nowhere to go.
If it's somebody who wants to drink in the house, then this is the best opportunity. They will just stay home because a lot of people, I'm sure that there was a lot of alcohol sales.
Dr. Terry, what do you have to say to that?
Maternal mental health is so devastating in this country. Cindy is talking about dealing with all the body changes and becoming depressed out of the abuse. But at the same time, we know that most women in this country,
yes,
when they are pregnant and going through all these body changes, actually GBV goes up.
Yes.
There's a lot more gender-based violence.
Whilst a woman is pregnant, mm-hmm, and you're talking about an intimate partner or a husband. You're not talking about a stranger on the street, right, beating pregnant women.
Right.
You're talking about people they're living within the home.
Yep.
Why?
I would say we have normalized violence. I recently unfollowed a WhatsApp group when somebody just posted something and they're laughing, ha ha ha. It's a video of a man beating a woman, and all the men are like, yes, she needs to be disciplined. Even the words we use about violence is discipline.
I have to pause there because I have to go somewhere else, or else I'm going to get into a real front right now. So tell me, please, Nerea, with regards to the Center for Rights Education and Awareness, what education are you offering? I'm talking about both genders, mm-hmm, from the center, mm-hmm, with regards to unlearning all of these behaviors, mm-hmm, that we've normalized in our society.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that we are doing is around community awareness, creating community awareness.
Yes, Cynthia talked about the fact that her mother-in-law and, mm-hmm, her husband, mm-hmm, wanted her to have a girl. Do we not know basic genetics? Do we not understand that it's the man who decides the gender of a child?
It's actually majority don't know. That's the man who.
I hear everyone going for premarital counseling in their church, and the church is not telling people that you're going to have children, but these children's gender is determined by the spouse, the man.
Yeah.
They're not telling women that.
They're not telling men that.
So what are you saying at Crew?
I'm saying we create awareness. I think one of the things that we've been very accurate about is, we are telling women, you don't have to stay in abusive marriage. There is no need to stay. We if it's not working, it's not working, because we've seen women die. Women are continuously dying because they are told, we can work it out. We can work it out. If it's not working, it's not working.
Cynthia, are you a Christian? Just sorry to bring your religion into this, but are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
Was your husband a Christian, or is he a Christian?
Yes.
Mother-in-law?
Yes.
So all these Christians are condoning the beating of you and the terrorizing of you,
Exactly.
and saying that you need to give them a girl.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yet that has nothing to do with what you're capable of doing as a woman.
Exactly.
We were in 2014. Continue the story, please.
Yeah, so from 2014, the violence continued. It continued until my mother-in-law brought in a woman for the husband, for his
Into
son,
your home?
for her son. Yes, she brought a woman for her son, and she told me that I need to move out, that I'm there to take the wealth. And I asked her, I married this man when he had nothing. We started everything that we have now. We worked for it.
Yes.
Why do you say that I'm here to take his wealth? He told me that in Kikuyu land they don't accept any other tribe in their family.
Okay.
Of which, when I went there for introduction that years before, they called the whole community to come and see a Luo lady in their community. That I was the first woman in a Luo land to come in the.
But were you welcome? Because you ended up marrying this man.
I was welcome, but going in a place whereby you don't know people, you don't know their culture, you don't know how they do their stuff.
Yes.
You just fit yourself. You try to fit in and understand how they do their stuff.
Was the love so overwhelming that you overlooked this sort of cultural change?
I can say that as a young girl, we are that age that you are so naive.
How old were you when you got married?
I got married at 22 years.
Okay, pause right there. Nerea, I'm back to you.
Yes, please.
Why are girls being married off at 22?
They say love is blind. Love is blind. So when a woman is in love, sometimes even when the red flags are there, they don't see it.
Your parents, Cynthia, what did your parents say? Because I'm assuming you went with a whole congregation.
Yes,
right?
I did.
Family, uncles, aunties, to this new place where that's supposed to be coming your home. Did your mother or your father or your auntie or your sister at any point say, Cynthia, I will be translating that. Ask a Luo friend. Yeah?
Yes, me, Cynthia, I don't have a mom or a dad.
Okay.
I'm an orphan. I'm the last born of the family.
Okay.
But I have my elders.
Yes.
I have my elders. My elder sister, she questioned me. She told me, going somewhere you don't know people, you don't know their culture, it might be really tricky on you. So if you can kindly take a pause and think about it. I said to I replied to her, I told her, I've known him for a while. I've met his people, and they welcomed me. But little did I know that my mother-in-law never welcomed me.
Okay.
She just went with the flow. The way things were just going, she was just there.
How many boys are there in the family? Sorry to bring this up, but culturally, I know it's significant.
My family.
No, in your husband's family.
There are 4.
There are 4 boys.
There are 4
and
boys.
he's the what born?
He's the last born as
He's
well.
also a last born.
Yes.
Okay.
So I told my sister that I've met his people and I've seen they're nice people, but I did not know that my mother-in-law was just pretending all this while until that day that she told me that her son is not married.
Okay.
Until her son marries a Kikuyu woman.
Daktari, what do you have to say with regards to culture and mental health and abuse?
There are many harmful traditional practices. When a woman is objectified and treated worse than even a domestic worker and has to fit a certain role allocation, in and of itself. Currently, we have people working from home. You're a caregiver. I mean, your partner is sitting literally just watching television. You still have to do all the work, as well as do, professional work. So we have very many harmful traditional practices, and this is one of them. This is one of the isms.
Yes.
And tribalism is
Yes.
something we really have to look at in this
Yes.
country. We
Yes.
cannot go away from. And there's one more thing I'm really getting, and my heart goes out to Cynthia for her story, is the intersectionality of factors.
Such
Because, there's age coming in.
Yes.
There's gender, then there's culture.
Yes.
And then there's also family culture.
Yes.
It seems like, women are still considered chattel, like the days of colonialism. I mean, days of slavery. We're still just like objects, You can be treated just like the way the cows are coming this way, you're going that way. So anytime you can leave. You
And
don't
what
seem
does
to
that
have
play
agency.
with regards to the psyche of the woman?
Actually, a woman has no agency. So in a sense, at the time when a woman needs to leave, it actually perpetuates the cycle of violence, because on average, women will come back 8 times.
To that abusive relationship.
Right.
They will leave and come back, leave and come
8
back.
times.
8 times.
Yes. And so you have many women who are in their homestays. They are physically present, but they're out the door mentally. They're exiting,
Okay.
And even when they leave physically, all the people in society are like, you should stay, you should enjoy, take care of him, This messaging is really saying that the woman doesn't have her own voice, and that's a problem.
Nerea, I'm going to try to understand this back and forth. Is this something you see a lot at Crew? Women leaving and coming back, leaving and coming back. And why are they doing that?
I think one of the things that happens is, lack of support system.
Okay.
Lack of support system is the fact that, culturally we say when a woman leaves, then you're supposed to go for good. There's no room for coming back. So if we can be open about, our girls coming back, yes, you can get married, but you're always welcome home.
Yes.
Then this back and forth will definitely stop.
Okay.
I know if I'm married, I'm going through violence, and I'm welcome home, I can always come back home. So then this back and forth will stop.
Is this a socio-economic issue? Is it that it's women of a poor women or middle class women or upper class? Because I'm seeing the violence across the board. Atemi, please join the conversation. I need to hear from you.
I don't think it's about socioeconomic classes, because
If for example, the issue is support with regards to monetary support, then, if you're wealthy, you can support yourself. So maybe tell me more.
it's actually about cultural support.
Okay.
Okay. So you're seeing a woman saying, okay, my husband beats me, and all her church friends are gathered around her. They're like, oh my God, how could he do it? This is terrible.
Yes.
And she's like, so he shouldn't do it. He shouldn't. So I should leave him. You people will help me. And they're like, no, we pray. And then that's how we help you. And you stand up and you leave, right? And, when you've left, it's like you're a failure. You failed. You failed at marriage. You couldn't keep it, and you had to leave. And then this is. I know a lot of people don't know this. I wasn't even sure I was going to talk about it, because I come from that kind of home. My mom left a couple of times,
Yes.
right? And I've been asking her about this stuff as an adult.
Yes.
And I'm
So
like,
you grew up in
so-
a home with a violent father.
Yeah, and I think it's similar because they started with nothing.
Yes.
And then as they grew and they built and then all of a sudden there's money,
Yes.
and then people start drinking. The difference for us is my grandmother, who I'm named for,
Yes.
would come and ask him.
So your
"You saw your
grandmother on
father?"
whose side?
His father.
Okay.
His mother.
Okay.
She would come and ask my dad,
Yeah.
"You saw your father doing this to me. How are you doing this to your family? How are you doing it? How dare you behave like this?"
Okay.
And I'm actually named for her. She was a wonderful person.
Yes.
And I think maybe out of everybody in the world, she's the one who would tell my mom, leave.
But where was your mother supposed to go?
Well, my mom had a job, and we left a couple of times. We left, we moved, we stayed with her brother one time for a year, then we came back. Then we left, we moved to another house somewhere else, then we came back.
Yes.
In fact, I remember one of the biggest issues
Yes.
was there was a point where she got a new job and she was technically earning more than him.
Okay. And that was an
drama.
issue.
That was drama. Yeah. Though he had properties and things, so his income was still more than hers.
Yes.
But why is your salary actually more than my salary? And you find that when you ask a lot of women, we hide. We don't say how much we earn.
Talking about mental health, we're talking about gender-based violence, and I got a message, SpiceFM KE, from Isaac Wafula. And Isaac said, even those campaigning against gender-based violence, especially ladies, they are suffering in their relationships and marriages, but they are still there waiting for change. And Isaac says, remember, you can't change anything while you are dead. Save yourself first. SpiceFM KE, we're talking about gender-based violence. Atemi Oyungu, you were telling me that whilst growing up in your family, you experienced GBV from your father, and your mother left and came back several times.
She did, and I think that it was mainly because of us. I think
Yes.
she wanted us to have a father, right?
Okay.
Because he was never violent with us. That's the truth.
How many siblings are you?
There are three of us.
Okay.
Yes, and she really wanted us to have the relationship, and I also think he said he would change.
Okay.
You know, and you believe him, and everything around you is saying it makes sense for you to go back. Then you should. If he said he'd change, go back. Let the children have a father. Go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nerea, what do you have to say about that? Because you experience people who've experienced gender-based violence on a day-to-day basis as part of your work.
Yes.
Okay.
And I would like to concur with what Atemi says. You know, women are cultured to be submissive, and always they hope that, you know, the man will change. But unfortunately, you know, change needs to be a personal responsibility. Yeah. So when somebody is not willing to change, then, you know, you can't change them.
Daktari, is that according to what you believe as a psychologist?
Yes, I really like Isaac Wafula's point about this private suffering
Yes.
while in public, you know, we're talking about these things.
Yes.
Because I've also experienced that.
Okay.
And we have this picture perfect.
Were you abused in your relationship?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
So in my relationship, we dealt with infertility issues for a while. And whilst it was my husband then who needed to go for surgery, of course, the focus was the woman is not getting any babies.
Okay.
And
okay.
so
Yes.
we've got to think
Even
about-
at such a learned level, you're
Right.
at PhD. I'm assuming that your husband is also a university graduate.
Right. So it actually cuts across all levels and all class boundaries. It knows no boundaries. So it's a really pervasive problem. And now we know now that we have the effects of gender-based violence on mental health, injuries, well-being. But the worst is a cycle of violence.
Yes.
It keeps going on.
Was he in an abusive home growing up?
Yes, he was.
Is listening. 96.7 Spice FM. Good afternoon. Hey, it's already afternoon. The heaviness of today's topic. I'm Olivia Oteno. This is Double O Direct every Saturday from 10 a.m. Music by women. Guests, women. I am dressed by a different woman in fashion each week. And a special thank you to stylist Wamboy Thimba for dressing me today in Savaria.ke. I think you need to go online because that's where you can also make your comments. But I have a phone call right now. I understand that Evans is calling from Kisumu. Good afternoon, Evans. Evans, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Nisa, what is on your mind this morning, this afternoon?
Yes, there's something on my mind,
Yes.
and it's based on a true story, something that I underwent.
What happened, Evans?
Yes, as you know, after school. Hello?
Yes, I'm there. I'm listening.
Yes, after school I got a job in Nairobi.
Yes.
Then after getting a job in Nairobi, you know how people always hustle completion of school. They do hustle to find at least something.
Yes.
So in the process of my job, because the job that I had was just an auditing, I was doing auditing in one of the private sectors,
Yes.
and someone connected with a lady.
Okay.
Yes, so after the connection, I still continued with my job. At the same time, I had a lady that we were not staying in the same place, but now we were planning to get married.
Okay.
So I decided to come home because my job now, it was now not paying. I don't know why we started underpaying us, but it was now well because now we're ready to go home.
Okay.
When we went home, that was now, it's like now I had now married.
Okay.
So we started staying with this lady.
And was she from your same area? Was she from the same area as you?
Not really, I'm from Kisumu,
Mm-hmm.
and the lady comes from Siaya, Alego.
Okay, Onyasiaya. Okay, Unjolo Ute. All right.
Yes. Yes.
Uh-huh.
So, we went home with the lady.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, now I got another job there now in Kisumu.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, before even completion of school, I used to do fishing. I was a fisherman by then.
Okay.
Because now I had no job, that was now the only option in life.
Mm.
So when we started staying with this lady, this lady used to teach in one of the private schools in Nairobi. So when we came home, she saw our place. We agreed that we were not going to stay. So after a period of 6 months, the lady changed.
Mm.
The lady changed, I think maybe it was because of maybe our financial status or economic status.
So when you say she changed, what exactly happened?
Before?
When you say that the lady changed, what exactly happened, Evans?
Okay, something that happened first,
Yes.
I started noticing that the lady was started to deny me my conjugal right, which was very bad.
Okay.
Yes. So
And-
every time I sorry.
Continue.
So every time I would even bring food because as I told you initially that I used to do fishing before,
Mm.
would even complain the money is not enough. So you are poor, you do what? And you know, as a man, sometimes you get very bad when you bring something on the table, then your wife does that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened?
Mm-hmm.
I just continued doing my thing.
Did you have
And now
children?
it was. Yeah, we only had at first we had one child that she came with that I took as my own,
Okay.
and I really loved was baby girl.
Mm.
So come 2019, she got pregnant. Things became more worse. Because even that pregnancy, it was something that was forced. Because if I can remember very well, in a year we only did sex only twice.
Okay.
That is where the lady had put. So you know, there was nothing at all that could even solidify the marriage, and we just had to continue because at least I wanted to not to have that shame. You know, as people who are living in the community, you know how people always talk, they say things. Yes.
Yes. So what is the situation now with you and your wife?
Okay, the situation, come 2018,
Yes.
in the year 2018, she gave birth to a baby boy in December 12th,
Yes.
and after giving birth, things turned more worse.
How?
So now she did not even want me. Every time when she sees me, the only thing she would even call me names, she would even abuse me. And you know, since I did not want to lose my family,
Yes.
I just used to keep silent.
So was she physically
And-
abusive towards you?
Sorry?
Was she physically abusive towards you? Would she hit you?
Yeah. Yeah, she hated me now. I think because of the status.
Not hated. Did she ever hit you physically? No goy.
Not really.
Okay, so you did not experience violence from this woman. You experienced some name calling and some shaming with regards to your financial status.
So what happened?
Yeah.
Even if I'm saying that he did not hit me,
Yes.
but she did like 2 tries.
Sorry?
She did tries.
She hit you 3 times.
Yes.
Okay, and are you still together? Are you still living in the same house?
No, she left when I was not around, when I had gone to fellowship. There was a meeting that we had in Kisumu
Yes.
in the year 2019 December. So when I came back from the big meeting,
Yes.
I noticed that the meeting wasn't now there.
Okay, so thank you, Evans. I'm going to pause this right there because we're talking about mental health and gender-based violence. Your situation, tragic as it is, I think Daktari and Nerea will comment on that. Thank you for calling. I wish you healing and thank you for sharing your story.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so we are discussing Evans and the situation that he's been in, and I just want to find out what do you have to say to that, Daktari?
Gender-based violence is the most widespread and socially tolerated human rights violation
Yes.
Globally.
Yes.
1 in 3 people we know are currently, as we speak, even now experiencing that. So my heart goes out to Evans. I'm listening to the story, and there are quite a number of factors.
Yes.
It would have been really useful to look into, any perinatal mood disorders.
Yes.
A lot of women, especially with pregnancy and birth, will undergo a host of hormonal changes.
Yes.
So I would see that. I would be curious to know if they visited any, hospital and got checked.
What
for
about this
anything going on.
premarital counseling I keep hearing about? People aren't talking about gender of children. People aren't talking about mental health. People are not talking about finances. It's all don't have sex before you get married. That's all we want to know. And Atemi has has a burning question and a comment that she wants to make. What do you say?
Well, I think that it depends on where the premarital counseling is done and who does it.
Exactly.
There are some churches that do wonderful premarital counseling.
Yes.
I know across the Nairobi chapels, they approach issues that people just don't think about. Like a very big issue in marriage is money.
Yes.
And people
in
don't
life,
talk about
not
it.
even in marriage. A very big
Yeah.
issue in life is money.
Yeah, but in relationships,
Yes.
right? Are we going to save together? Right? Who is going to keep the money? How are we going to do that? People don't
Am
think
I
about
going
that.
to be with you if you lose your job?
Yes.
People don't even ask. Like a number of people don't ask their partners, "Are you going to stay with me when I'm broke?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people think you're not even going to be broke.
Yeah.
Recent incidents will show you can lose your funding in a second. Continue, Atemi.
So I think a lot of the premarital counseling out there doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily cover all those issues. And the only reason I know about this is because one time we had a thing where you could understudy a class.
Yes.
Because there were different courses they used to give at church. And I understudied a class and I was like, yo, this is interesting.
Did they talk about gender-based violence?
They didn't necessarily
Exactly.
talk about
Let's
it.
go back
But they
to
didn't talk
Daktari.
about it because
We're
at that
gonna-
point it's not happening to you. We're not. It's a thing.
No. You
Right.
cannot say it's not happening.
No. Here where we are,
Yes.
right? And sometimes in those premarital counseling classes, it wasn't even premarital counseling. We are married, we've had drama, so we've come to the class. Okay?
Okay, but that's
Yes.
in marriage. I'm
So
talking about
those things-
premarital counseling that includes
Prevention.
gender-based
And I'm answering.
violence.
You're not letting me answer.
Answer.
I'm saying, so in those situations, it's a premarital counseling class. Some people are married, some people are not married, right? If there is that issue, then they would talk about it, but they would talk about it separately.
But can I ask you why? I don't understand. Why is it being talked about? Yes, please, Nerea.
I think it's because, when we talk about marriage is normally looked at in the context of, the Bible, that, it's supposed to be forever. When people get married, it's supposed to be forever. So then, we focus more on the good things of marriage and avoid talking about the bad things
Isn't
of
that why
marriage.
we're having so many divorces and
Exactly.
violence and nonsense in marriage? Because people are going there with fairy tale sunshine and rainbows instead of the hard truths and the hard facts. Because if you're actually told, this person could beat you, this person could kill you, this person might lose their job, and be homeless. Yeah, this person can have mental illness. This person could suffer infertility, right? Then you go in with your eyes open. I feel, unfortunately, a lot of Kenyans are going into marriage thinking about how big they can make it with horses at Windsor Golf and Country Club.
Horses?
Yeah, and you're right. The focus is on weddings, actually.
Yeah, and not marriage.
Weddings. And prevention of gender-based violence is not a central topic, and I agree.
Why is it talked
it's
about?
really-
Like, sometimes you can. No, why isn't it just talked about openly and honestly? Because that's why. What was his name? He said that women are talking about GBV whilst they're suffering from GBV.
Right, Isaac Wafula. Yeah.
Tell me, what do you think about the whole issue, Dr.
I would say, in a nutshell, we really have got to change this narrative. We really have got to center, especially what do I do? One of the things I got stuck with is there's this picture perfect idea of being a woman is you need to have children, you have to be a mom.
Yes.
And so those of us who are not the typical picture perfect woman, who are outside the normal, I'm talking about, people with special needs, I'm talking about migrant women, refugee women, all these different kinds of impoverished women, rural women, remote and not able to access. I think we need to really, really, like Nerea said, really channel people into what can I do.
Did you discuss fertility and the possibility of infertility in your premarital counseling class?
No,
You did not.
we did not.
Did you get tested for your fertility prior to marriage?
No, however, I had an informal conversation and I already knew that he was trying from his past relationships and they actually all ended with, we didn't get children, so I left her. So he was on this trial.
Had he been married before or just dating?
He had been dating.
He had been dating.
And he
Okay.
had been sexually active, trying to
Yes.
get kids,
Yes.
and he knew he had a infertility issue.
Yes.
And so after our surgery, the doctor said, you people have a high chance now of getting a child.
After
and,
surgery with his
his
surgery.
His
Okay.
surgery.
Yeah.
And so, at that point, mom-in-law is really happy and we're going to get children. And then boom, I get a baby girl. And on the day she's born, she dies. So then it becomes, yes, the girl really looks like him, but now this is not a good woman because you're Kikuyu and he's Luya, and now he needs to go get the solution from the family. He needs to go get a Luya wife. So then it hits me all along. Also, I also was close to this whole tribal picture that the family is now bringing as a solution.
Yes.
And I tend to think this is something in our cultures we really need to interrogate.
Yes.
I mean, tribes don't make babies or they don't make marriages work. There's personal culture, family culture, and we need to transform all of this.
First and foremost, I want to offer my condolences for your loss. I cannot even imagine the trauma you went through. And then Nerea, Atemi, Cynthia, we have to talk about tribe and relationships. Understand, Cynthia, because we've talked about Daktari and the fact that you are an intercultural relationship, and the ism is that let's now go back to our tribe. Let's now go back to a woman, from our home. And you experienced that, Cynthia. So take up the story again from the time that your mother-in-law brought in a woman to your home and said, this is now going to be her son's wife.
Yes, from there, I told my husband that if you want to get married, that's not the way to do things. Real men don't do that. There are so many men out there that can have even 10 wives, but as long as you do the right thing, I have no issue with that.
So it's a matter of respect.
You must respect me first,
Okay.
respect my house. But my mother-in-law told me that she doesn't recognize me as the wife of her son.
Okay.
So that gives her son more right to beat me up, more courage to abuse me, more authority to do whatever he felt like doing to me.
All of this knowing that you're an orphan. And may I ask, was he also abusive towards the children?
No, he never hit his kids. That I
Okay.
cannot lie about. He never hit his kids. But he told me one thing, that he doesn't want a child, a woman who was never brought up by her parent, because he doesn't want an orphan. He wants someone who was raised by his mom and his dad.
But you were that when you met? It's
Yes,
not that
he
you
knew
suddenly-
everything. He knew
Okay.
everything about me. There was nothing hidden. But he was, that person that looking, he was looking for the excuses just to walk out of the marriage. But me, I stood my ground. I said to myself, I was not here to come and stay for 2 days. Now I have 2 kids. Where do you want me to take them? He told me that you cannot tie me down with the kids or with the marriage.
If someone had given you $1 million shillings, Cynthia, would you have left that home?
It wasn't about money.
Okay.
It was the family that I was yearning for. I never had my own family. I never got that chance to have a complete family because I was brought up by different people.
Okay.
I was yearning for that complete family. So I said to myself that I will do my best to make this work. I will do my best so that my kids will not experience the same thing that I went through. So me believing in that, I said to myself, I will stay here.
Yes.
If you want to go and get married, it's okay. Go ahead.
Did he go?
He never went until 2017.
Okay.
2017, my son was sick. My elder son was very sick, and I took him to the hospital.
Yes.
Me going to the hospital, coming back, he came with the lorry. That big one, the one that has 12 or whatever, bigger than the canter.
Okay.
He took everything that was there, everything. He only left the house and the grass which was there.
He took the beds, he took everything.
Even unga.
My goodness. Okay.
He left me with my clothes and the clothes of my kids only. So when I came back, my neighbor was asking me, Kwane, why you not here? Then there were some people came here with the lorry and
so
they
you'd
packed
gone
everything.
with both your children because one was ill.
Yes,
so
I couldn't left the smaller one.
Okay.
I had to go with both of them.
Okay,
You know.
okay.
So we went there together. So by the time I was coming back, he has already packed everything and gone.
Okay.
In fact, it was a plan that he planned.
So his son is sick. His wife has taken the children to
the
hospital,
yes.
and he's busy getting a van to move everything out of the house.
Exactly.
Okay, so he left.
So when I get back, my neighbors were telling me, Kwane, were you not around? I said, yes, I went to the hospital. But then she said that there were some people here came with the big lorry. It's not canter, the bigger than the canter.
Yes.
They packed everything. So I was like, okay, I frozen. I was like, what happened? What went wrong when I wasn't here? So I opened the gate quickly, and when I opened the gate, I find like he broke everything within the compound. The houses, there were some rooms that we built out there for the chickens and all the rooms that were there. He broke everything all together.
So did you leave him in the house when you've taken the children to
I
hospital?
left him at home when I was going out. Okay. So when I came back, he was not there, and he made sure that he broke the things that were out within the compound.
Yes.
So I called him immediately. I asked, where are you? And why did you take everything? Where are you going? He answered me that I've taken my stuff and I've left you there, and I'm giving you just a few 3 months to move out. I'm like, it's just joking. And on top of that, I was like, my heart was out of my chest.
Of course.
Because I was like, what is he planning? What is he going to do next? After these 3 months, he came back.
So between the fact that you're in a house with absolutely nothing and 2 children, what actually happened
cried.
After that? Okay.
I just went on my knees. I started crying. I cried my eyes out.
Okay.
And I was holding my 2 sons, the one left and right. So they were crying with me, asking me, Mom, I'm sorry, Mom, sorry, Mom, sorry. And I look at them, I say to myself, I will not be weak in front of my kids. Okay. I have to stand up for them because they have no one now to stand by them. So from there, I get into the house. Getting into the house, I didn't know how to start because I don't have a job. I don't have money to start my life. After all this cry, I said to myself, I cannot just sit here and cry. My kids are hungry. They need to eat. So from there, I just said, whatever I had back then, I started buying food, buying new things together.
Where did you get the money? Who came to support you physically? Did you go to Nerea?
Time, no, I did not know Nerea back then. It was just me. Okay. So me, I had some money. I had like 14,000 in my account. So I went and withdrew that money and started everything new again. And then I gave a call to my brother, our third born. I called him and told him that things are really critical for me. I need your help. Okay. This man has taken everything and he left me with nothing. I need your help. Mm-hmm. He told me that if I want his help, I should leave the kids with their father and go back. He's staying in Mombasa. I should go to Mombasa. It will open a very big business for me. But because I did not get married with the kids, I cannot go with the kids. I have to leave them to their father.
Now, what nonsense is that?
Exactly. That was what he told me. Then he gave me a week. Remember, the husband gave me 3 months. And my brother gave me a week to think about. I told him, there's nothing to think about. Even if I will go under the bridge and sleep with them and go hungry with my kids, I can never leave them behind. Furthermore, you are a father. You have your own kids. How can you ask me such a thing? That no. You did not get married with those kids. You cannot come with them. Then I told him, now that you have said that, it's okay. I know what to do. Don't bother. And then he told me, if you have decided, never call me to tell me anything that happens into your life from now henceforth. And that was it. There, that's where I took the drugs. I went to the chemistry. I bought that box, Panadol Extra, the whole box together.
Yes.
I opened it and took a glass of water.
Yes.
I swallowed all that drugs. Before I swallowed them, I called my father of our church. His name is Father Martin.
Yes.
And I called him. I told him, Father, it's enough. I can no longer go on. I'm just tired with everything. He told me, just remember your kid. That's what he told me. Remember, you're an orphan. And the chain will continue if you do the same thing to your kids. Kindly think about them. Don't allow your kids to suffer for the sins of their father, please. And when I looked, my boys were just next to me. They were seeing everything that was happening. There's nothing that they did not see. So when I thought of the pain that I went through as a child and seeing my kids crying behind me, I'm like, no. It cannot happen. It cannot happen. I just threw those drugs away and we prayed with my 2 boys. My dear friend, I started there. I started from zero, from scratch again. This man never came. He came after 3 months.
Yes.
After these 3 months, he just came and just viewed in the compound and warned me, where? I'll be back.
So
and left.
this home, was it paid for? Was it the ancestral home?
This was a home where we bought the land and built a home. It's a home. It's where we bought the land and built a home. So, and he left after viewing the compound and he warned me, where? I'm coming back, and just left. He got into his car and left. He came back 2018.
Okay.
That's where he came with the serious violence. In fact, I was rescued by 911. I called the number 911.
Yes.
When he came, it was a night time. We were about to go to bed, but I had a salon within the compound. There was a place where I put my thing, and I was doing my salon business. So he found me there in that room.
Yes.
I was about to close to go in because I had a client. It was around 9:40.
Okay.
It was around 9:40. So when he came, I had a vehicle
at
night coming, but I didn't know that he was him.
Okay.
Him coming, the place where we were, it was a perimeter wall.
Okay.
So when he came, I didn't know that he was the one, but he was the one. He just came and parked outside the gate, then jumped over. He never knocked the gate. He never even said a word. Just jump over the fence.
Okay.
And I was about to close, but I wasn't alone. I was with another girl whom we were working with.
Yes.
Before that salon has two doors, the front one and the back one. So the back one, I was going with the back one so that I can be able to get in the into the house. Then he came with a knife and a steel.
A what?
A steel.
Yes. Like a rod.
No, it's not a rod. It's like a chuma.
Okay.
A very big one.
Okay.
So he was holding a knife at on his right hand, and this left hand he has that chuma, that chuma. So he just said 2 things: I am here to kill you, and I will not leave until I make sure you die. That was what he said.
That's what he said to you?
Only that. At that particular time, I was already, he left a very big hole in my heart. So I was like, whenever I see him, I got crumble. I got so fear. I got so scared that I cannot even stand again. I just vibrate all over my body. I feel like I'm freezing.
Yes.
So I never even add anything or say anything back to him.
Yes.
He stepped a few steps toward me.
Yes.
Then this lady who was behind me she started to beg him not to stab me. Then he answered, "I'm not here for you. You can go. I'm not here for you. I'm here for her. In fact, I will not even hurt you. I'm here to kill her." And then he said, "In fact, take a camera, so that you can have an evidence that I've killed you." And then that lady, she knelt on her knees begging him. Then he said, "You can go. I have no issue with you. Come on, you just go." So he was coming toward me. He took another 2 steps toward me. Then he brought out that knife and he was holding the knife like this. He was about to stab me. That lady, by that time she was still bending, kneeling down. She took a chair, plastic chair.
Yes.
With her 2 hands. And that man, when he was going to stab me like this, he stabbed the chair.
Yes.
So then the lady started to shout, and then she went and switched off the light. That's when this man come near me and he stabbed. Okay, it was like let me say, and then it was from layer,
yes,
outside layers.
Yes.
Because he wanted to stab me like this. I don't know what happened. I missed. I turned like this.
Yes.
Then it just took like this vein here.
Yes.
This
Yes.
vein, yeah.
Yes.
So the lady started to shout. Then he started to strangle me. I couldn't shout, I couldn't talk, I couldn't move because I don't know what was happening, because everything about me was just so cold.
Yes.
I couldn't move.
Yes.
The lady went out and she brought the kids from the house.
Yes.
Then the good thing,
yes,
the lady was shouting as she was doing all the things that she was doing.
Yes.
Then he heard about the neighbors knocking the gate.
Yes.
The gate.
Yes.
That when he left,
yes,
he left me lifeless on the ground.
Okay.
Then the lady came. When she came, she held my hands and started kunivuta from the room to outside the gate. On top of that, he said that because he has not succeeded killing me, he must come back to kill me. Only that day that he will kill me, that's the only day that he will rest.
Okay. I'm sorry to have to ask this, but was he drunk?
He was a little bit drunk. He wasn't really drunk, but because he was walking well, he was talking well, like someone who was sober, but he was a little bit. You can smell the alcohol when you are close to him.
Now, Daktari Nerea Atemi, I need you all to comment, but I think we need a minute to collect our thoughts and to digest what Cynthia has told us. Yeah, Atemi, I'm sorry, I know you have to leave, but I ask you to stay so that we can have your final comments on this. Daktari, the same. And Nerea, I'm sure this is a story that you've heard time and time again. Please bear with me so that we can discuss this. SpiceFM.co.ke. We've extended the conversation because we simply cannot stop it. And I'll be honest, and everyone here knows that this topic is inexhaustible. It's not a Nairobi problem. It is not a socioeconomic problem. It is not a religion problem. It is not an education problem. It is a global pandemic. Yeah, more women are dying as a result of gender-based violence than COVID. Right? And we are not talking about it. And yes, Cynthia, you coming in and talking about your story, I appreciate it. Atemi, you coming in and talking about your story, I appreciate it. Dr. Wangari, you coming in and talking about your story, I appreciate it. Nerea, you have secondary trauma because you deal with survivors on a daily basis. I don't say victims because the victims are dead. Yeah? Nerea does not deal with the dead, right? She deals with the survivors. And you've just told me a very harrowing account, Cynthia, of how you were stabbed by your husband. And you're telling me the reason is he didn't want you, but he'd already left. Why come back to end your life? And then you didn't receive any justice. You went to the police, you reported the case, and you were told basically, una pesa.
Yes.
Are you still seeking justice?
Yes, I'm still seeking justice until now.
Okay. Have you ever spoken to FIDA?
Yes, I've gone to FIDA.
Yes.
When I went to FIDA, they told me that they cannot help me unless I move out of that home.
Okay.
Then I asked them, where would I go? Because I have the kids and I don't have a stable job.
Yes.
I cannot afford to pay rent, pay school fees, and even cater the daily needs of my kids.
But why didn't you leave the home considering it's your home? Why do you need to leave?
That it is what they told me, that if I want their help,
Yes.
I should move out from that home.
Okay.
It's a family home. So I didn't know where to go. I didn't have a job. I couldn't just walk out without even thinking where I'm going to.
Considering you have 2 children to care for.
Exactly.
We're going to pause there. Tell me, I know you need to go, so I'm going to pass it on to you to give your comment on the story you've heard, but also to continue with your personal experience.
Well, just listening to her story, and the thing is, I'm sure there are a lot of women listening who are like, yeah, I recognize that. You know, even if it's not on myself, it's a friend or a cousin or a mother or my parents or something, right? And it's just, it's not just the brutality
Yes.
of somebody coming back into a situation that's peaceful to bring violence, right? But it's just the fact that we're sitting here speaking with somebody who hasn't yet gotten justice about this.
Yes.
You know, why are we in a situation where reporting that I was beaten, I was stabbed is not enough?
Okay.
You know, this
Yes.
it's frustrating, and frankly, it's terrifying.
Because someone says, well, this is what he did. Nothing ever happened to him. What do you think is going to happen to you? Nothing.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I'm like, if I walk out into the streets and some random man slaps me, why should I report it then?
Okay.
You know, what's going to happen to him? Nothing.
Has your experience in childhood affected your adulthood?
Oh yeah, I have what's the thing called? I think I'm mad anxious.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
mad. I'm just generally an anxious person.
Okay.
To this day, if I hear a door slam and I'm asleep, I will wake up and I have to be like, you don't live there anymore. You're fine.
Yes.
You're fine. You're okay. You know, I cannot be in a situation with a friendship, a relationship where somebody raises their voice at me, even at work. I can't do it. If somebody raises their voice at me at work, I'll quit.
Okay.
I just those are things I just don't do anymore. I
Yes.
just don't do it.
How do you feel that you can get healing?
Well, healing
Is there
comes,
help out there?
Healing comes every day. You know, healing comes every day with the things you do, the things that you choose to do. I don't think that there is a single person who's been through trauma who can come up and say, I'm completely healed and I don't have any feelings. There's still going to be scars.
Yes.
And it's an everyday thing, right? So, it's just, I think it's finding different coping mechanisms. For me, I'm like, I can see Olivia giving me a side eye. For me, it's God.
No,
But it has been,
It's all right. Yeah.
you know, it's my family. It's finding friends who understand
Yes.
how I am.
Yes.
Because my work, I end up working a lot with friends. So it's very important to have people there who, you know, in your situation, a friend who can look and be like, yeah, that guy is kind of towering over Temi, and
Maybe it's not a good thing.
yeah, maybe this is not going to work.
Let me ask you, with regards to crew and the work that you do, tell me exactly what is gender-based violence at its root. What can you say that it is?
I think gender-based violence is that that act that is directed towards somebody based on their gender, and it's very unfortunate that most of the time, women happens to be the victims, while men happens to be the perpetrators.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's also very unfortunate that one of the things that we've been experiencing is that there's been a problem when you report to the police because you realize that it happens within intimate relationships.
Yes.
And most of the time when something happens within that context, it's easy to advise somebody to just sort it out.
Muongeane
nyumbani, yeah. Vumiliana. But I'm also happy that recently the National Police also launched Polycare.
Yes.
So that is going to be a non-stop shop for sexual gender-based violence survivors, where you can be able to report your case, get an OB, and then you can also be, treated. We can get samples there. You can be able to get counselors. So I think it's going to be something that is going to be very, very helpful towards, supporting survivors of GBV.
I agree. I completely agree. Dr. Wangari, tell me.
I would say two things. We've
Yes.
got to change the system. This stigma and the silence around the violence.
Because people assume, oh, GBV, It's a socioeconomic status thing, you know. Wale watu are the ones who are suffering.
Right. So it's we now know it's beyond any boundaries. Not
People
class,
say better
not money,
to cry
not
in
whatever.
Muthaiga than Madare.
Yeah, but this impunity of using violence as a tool to exert power and control is just something we have to look at. This
Yes.
neoliberal culture, we really have to look at all these isms, you know, tribalism, capitalism, all of these things.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's at the system level. And then we have at individual level.
Yes.
We need to raise the agency
Yes.
and the independent thinking and the empowerment of individuals who are undergoing GBV.
Who helped you?
So in this case, it was my sisters. At first, they were skeptical. They were like, "But he's a good guy. How can he hit you? How can he put a knife on your neck?" And then eventually they came round and they said, "Oh, you mean publicly he's nice, but in private he's an animal?
Yeah.
Really?"
Yes.
Then they got it. After they got it, at that time is when they came through for me. For a while, and this is what mostly happens. A woman is treated as an inconvenience. So where are you gonna go? And I come into my house with all of those things of yours, it's like, so that's, something we also have to confront, like.
I
as
need you
Cynthia said.
to deconstruct that.
Right.
When you say a woman is thought of as an inconvenience, where are
Right.
you going to go?
Right.
Who is saying that? Is it the spouse or the family members?
Yeah, so earlier I'd mentioned objectification of women. And the thing is, nobody owns anyone.
I keep telling people the same thing.
Right.
You don't own anyone. You don't own your husband, and husbands, you don't own your wife.
Right. We are all stewards of each other. We take care of each other, but we need to spread Utu and Ubuntu. We need to spread kindness and love. And when we are both undergoing any level of stress, what we need to raise is compassion and care.
At what point after the knife to the neck and the first assault did you leave?
After the third assault, the third attempt. So the knife came once, and then there was a scissor, and then a knife. And then my sister said, "Get out right now. Come to my house right now."
Did you report it?
Yes, I did.
Was he imprisoned?
No,
Did you go to court?
no.
Did anything happen as a result of you reporting your abuse?
The only thing that happened is I was asked to bribe the police so that they come over to escort me. And I think when he saw the police over there as I was leaving, all of his violence and, just whittled down. I think that kind of was like, and then the police said, "He doesn't look like any violent guy. Let me leave you guys here."
Can we just get one thing straight, that anybody can be violent?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
It's not somebody with dreadlocks or who smokes something or who has muscles or whatever. Anybody can be violent.
Yeah, so the police basically left me right there to continue having a conversation. And they said, "Oh, we've been called to another matter in the neighborhood, so goodbye." So
How does that make you feel?
I'm devastated. And up to now, I can imagine if I had police presence and, what about Cindy and all the other women who didn't even have that initial presence, and what then happens? People die. I know people who've died. And that's actually one of the, effects of gender-based violence.
Ladies, I would love to continue this conversation into the next hour. Unfortunately, I cannot. I must say goodbye for today, but it's been a very harrowing 2 hours, right? We're not even a quarter way into this conversation. And I want to thank you so much, Cynthia. I want to thank you, Nerea. I want to thank you, Atemi. I want to thank you, Joyce, for coming in and sharing with me today. And all I can say is thank you. All I can say is I will want to have you back, and please come back.